So let's talk about Count Dooku. So I have a feeling, I've said this before, that I'm a fan of using the current stuff to set up the past, right? I think that I've heard a rumor, if there is an Obi-Wan Kenobi show that's waiting to be announced coming to Disney Plus, that's the Disney streaming service. I've heard a rumor that something in the Rise of Sky, oh, spoiler. Of course, I've already kind of told you guys. Spoiler warning, you might just want to skip through this part. I've heard a rumor, and this is coming from the guys at Star Wars News Net, so it's not a Mike Zero thing. It's not from somebody on YouTube. None of us on YouTube have inside information. We're either making it up or we're getting it from somewhere, and we're not crediting our sources. None of us have inside contacts that I know of. So but the guys making Star Wars and Star Wars News Net, they do know people on the ground. What's his name at making Star Wars? Sometimes he's out there spying on them himself. But I think his name is John, the editor at Star Wars News Net. They wrote a while back that if there is an Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming, there's something in the Rise of Skywalker that is going to be introduced, or that has something to do with the plot, and that's going to bleed over into one of these shows, probably the Obi-Wan show. I have a feeling it could that there's going to be Easter eggs that are going to be involved in the Mandalorian, right? When I get more into the Rise of Skywalker, I'll tell you why I think that. But it has something to do with what my man Manny pointed out in the Vanity Fair pictures. Just go look at the Knights of Ren picture, and then look at like some picture from Dryden Voss's office with the Mandalorian, the ancient Mandalorian samurai get up that he had on display in his office, right? But I'll talk about that later. We're on Count Dooku, right? But I'm kind of talking about how I think the current stuff is going to set up the Old Republic in canon and some of this older stuff, right? But we've been getting a lot of stuff on Count Dooku. He's been the most interesting person in Star Wars, for the last month, right? So Count Dooku has been involved in this audio drama called Jedi Lost. It's not like the regular audio books. You had a bunch of voice actors who worked on all these other audio books for Star Wars. They all come together. Count Dooku's voice kind of threw some people off because he didn't sound anything like the voice in the Clone Wars or I just forgot his name. Sir Christopher Reeves. His name is not Christopher Reeves. That's Superman. What is his name that played Count Dooku? It really just slipped my mind. Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? He was Sauron or something in Lord of the Rings too. Played Dracula and all kinds of stuff. Stage actor, sword fighter, swordsman, whatever. Y'all know I'm talking about, the real Count Dooku. Anyway, the person who voiced Count Dooku is the voice of the Sith Inquisitor if you play Star Wars Old Republic. So there is a cool connection right there that the male Sith Inquisitor voiced Count Dooku, right? In this audio drama. So he had Jedi Lost. Sir Christopher Lee, that's it. Yeah, appreciate that. Who is that? I can't see your name. Fiji. Okay. So Dooku was involved in Jedi Lost, and that's where you essentially get Dooku's backstory, like his backstory. There was the joke about Dooku doesn't have a last name. What is his last name, or what's his first name? He's just Dooku. Apparently his name is Dooku Cyrano, the Count of Cyrano. We learned that his family named the planet Cyrano. They're the House of Cyrano. You got like the House of Nobles or something, and Cyrano is the head family, the head house, because Dooku's ancestor, a great, how many generations grandfather, chased the Sith off. Cyrano was part of the Sith Empire, so his planet has a connection to the Sith. He's got a connection to the Sith, right? And then we get a lot about him in the Master and Apprentice book. It's supposed to be about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but this Master and Apprentice has a double meaning to it, because they're involved in this story that involves Dooku's first apprentice, Rael Averross, Rael Averross, something like that, was Dooku's first apprentice, right? And Rael joined the Jedi Temple when he was already a child, like older than, I think they said the oldest they taken was like 4 or 5. I think maybe he joined when he was 4 or 5. Like he already kind of knew his family. And so there was an issue there. And it makes it, when you get master and apprentice, it's like, well, it doesn't really make sense. But then later, after you get Jedi Lost, then it makes sense why that happened, because Dooku, they had the Sereno was having this celebration or whatever. I think they were trying to join the Republic. There was this big fair. The Jedi went out to do demonstrations. Dooku goes because it's like, oh, we've got a Jedi who's from Sereno, right? And Dooku kind of sees this girl and he's like, I feel something. There's a connection through the Force. This is weird. He starts following her. She's his sister, right? So they go on this thing. Dooku, she shows him this statue of this monster that's from like childhood stories, the creature in the closet on Sereno. And later you find out that creature's real, right? A creature that was created, a Sith war beast that was created through Sith alchemy. That's something from Legends. Now that's canon. The Sith would experiment, do this genetic engineering with the Force and create war beasts. If you have the book of the Sith, right? I got it in my backpack. I guess I should have had it. That's something that Rian Johnson drew from the Jedi version for The Last Jedi. That's canon now. What Luke did at the end, right? On Ahch-To. Then he projected himself, right? Now, Sith alchemy is a real thing. Even though we kind of saw Sith alchemy in the Clone Wars, that's how Yoda saw Sifo Dyas. And then we get Sifo Dyas' story, and it's real sad. Sifo Dyas and Dooku were best friends. Sifo, dude, right? They were homies, right? And you find out that Dooku killed his homie, but Sifo Dyas was kind of crazy, right? He was having these premonitions, and that's why Yoda's like, beware the future, right? These futures can lead to madness. They can lead to the dark side. We get this whole story about the old Jedi and the Jedi mystics. Now there aren't any Jedi mystics because some of them, they saw this future and they got attached. They clung to the future, got attached, and fell to the dark side. They tried to force that future to happen, right? They tried to force that future to happen and they clung. They got attached. They got stuck to one possibility. And what Yoda's saying essentially is leave yourself open to all possibilities. Yes, this thing can happen, but don't cling to it. And then Qui-Gon had this whole other experience where I've had a vision. I've had a vision through the Force. And Dooku kind of encouraged, but didn't encourage. He was studying these prophecies, right? But it is like Dooku studying the prophecies because he's struggling with the dark side, especially after what happened with him and Dooku and Sifo Dyas' master, where she took them to this planet strong with the dark side. Dooku and Sifo Dyas had a vision of the Clone Wars. But what Dooku saw was the Jedi taking over. He saw the Jedi ruling, the Jedi leading warriors in the battle, the Jedi ruling, taking over. And it's like, I don't think this is right. This shouldn't happen. And it's crazy, man. Dooku was the model Jedi, right? He was the best duelist. He sat on the Jedi Council at one point in time. He was like this is the Jedi you want to be. Yoda hadn't taken apprentice in who knows how long, but he took on Dooku, right? And Yoda was a hard master. It was like, I'm just going to sit here and meditate. It was like something out the Kung Fu movies, right? Dooku, master, I'm ready to train. Yoda's just sitting there, Dooku tore up one of the trees, one of the Unity trees in the little Jedi temple guarded. And then Yoda was like, he's like, look, master, look what I do. And then Yoda's like, okay, yeah, I guess you're ready to train now. Your training begins today, right? Because Dooku's trying to show off, look how much I've learned on my own. Master, I'm ready, right? And he's like, wax the cars, paint the fence, sand the floor, Danielson, sand the floor, paint that fence, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, right? And, man, Mr. Miyagi, I came here to learn karate, man. And it was like, paint the fence, and now he's blocking. Now it's like, whoa, I know karate. Well, you don't really know karate, you just know the movements, right? But Dooku had that experience with Yoda, and he became this the ideal Jedi. But I mentioned this earlier. I said, you know, Dooku mentioned that there was a Jedi temple at Ossus. That got mentioned. And Ossus, that's something from Legends. We learned that Sereno, the planet, had ties to the old Sith Empire. We learned that Sith alchemy and Sith war beasts are a thing. Dooku's got this strong connection to the dark side, and eventually it wins out, right? He goes to Sereno to help his sister. He unearths that war beast that is like a dragon. He ends up killing it, but the dragon that was created by the Sith, right? It's like first he used beast, not beast taming, but beast connection, right? The same thing that Ezra has, right, in Star Wars Rebels. That was something, apparently some Jedi were very gifted with it. Some Jedi can bond with certain animals. Dooku bonded with this creature created from the dark side, and it left part of it on him. It was after that experience and everything that happened there on Sereno, with they were asking for help from the Republic wasn't going to help them. The Jedi were like, our hands are tied, we can't do anything, and the Republic hadn't passed on it, and we're just, you know. And it was like Dooku's like, hey man, there are planets out there that need our help, we're supposed to help them as Jedi. And the Jedi are like, yo man, like no, we can't do that. The Republic hadn't passed on it. And Dooku was just like, look, I'm tired of having our hands tied. This is what we need to do. And that's essentially what led to Dooku leaving the Order. It wasn't, oh, Dooku was upset because Qui-Gon was killed by a Sith and the Jedi. Because look, man, that doesn't make sense. Like if Dooku knows that his Padawan was killed by a Sith Lord, why would he turn around and join the Sith? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, right?